Hey, so this should be our last dive into the course syllabus. By the end of this video today, you should really have a working understanding of what's expected of you and what's going to happen based on the choices that you make going forward in this class. So hopefully by the end of this video, there'll be no surprises and you will feel confident at the very least that you know what's about to happen going forward. Keep in mind that we're not going over every piece of the syllabus. We're just going over to the biggest pieces. So you still need to actually read it. That's important. Um, Keep in mind that, again, the syllabus can seem like a little intense, right? We're going to talk about the assignments today that are in this class. Just keep in mind, I'm here for you. I give a crap about you, right? A whole lot. And I'm going to help you through it. I'll do anything you need to be successful. So just remember that many people before you have done this and many people after you will do it as well, right? So they're no better than you. All right, you got this. And we're going to work through this together. With that being said, keep in mind SRC is available to you. I feel like people really don't utilize SRC the way that they should in this building. You can come after third period every day, or you can come on Wednesdays from 8:45 to 9:25, and I'm happy to help you. Students who utilize SRC are often my most successful students. So, okay then, A days, SRC A days. Citizenship for this class, citizenship grading. Most of like the citizenship pieces of your like behavior as a student in this class are kind of already covered with Weber State's late work policy and their attendance policy. So I try not to double ding you in citizenship and in your letter grade. So if it's being covered in your letter grade with Weber State's policies, then I'm also not going to mark you down for it for citizenship. So for CE English specifically, if you are on track in this class, you'll get an H, right? If you're doing what you need to do and you're doing your very best and you're staying on track, you'll get an H. That's the bottom line, right? Really, anything less than an H is up to my discretion. It says in the syllabus for the things that citizenship can be marked down for, but it's really just making my life more difficult and your life more difficult in this class, right? So if you're absent a ton, if you're late a ton, if you're not bringing the required materials necessary to do well in this class, if your computer is not available or not ready, those are, if it becomes annoying to me, then it's going to be an issue. But really the biggest ways to get, you know, 4 citizenship grades in this class is to cheat. We'll talk about that later. If it gets to a point where you're so behind in the class and that you are causing me to lose sleep or to stress that you're not going to get college credit, you're not going to have a good citizenship grade in this class. Like if you're causing me stress from your choices, right? So I have had a very few kids who've gotten like an N in this class, just because they have turned things in so late and been so behind that they're in jeopardy of not passing. There's always 1 or 2 every semester, and they hurt my feelings. Okay. If you're disrespectful in class, it's not usually a problem in CE. If you're disrespectful, if you're not on task, if you're talking too much, if you're impolite, that's an issue. But the biggest way to get a U in this class is to cheat. And people love to mess around and find out with this. Like they really love it. Right? It's so fun. We're going to talk more about cheating, but you will get an automatic U in citizenship if you cheat in this class, among many other very serious consequences. Don't mess with that, right? The grading policies in this class, let's get specific about it. This class is meant for you to gain college level skills very quickly, which is code for you're going to be frustrated very quickly. And then once you reach your peak of frustration up here, all of a sudden your frustration levels are going to decrease rapidly. And that's when your understanding and your confidence in what you're doing lift, right? So you have to get past this frustration point quickly. And Weber State has designed this class so you get past this frustration point pretty quickly in the class so you can spend the rest of the class building that confidence and building those skills and those understandings, right? So you have to have a growth mindset. You have to understand that you're probably not going to do as well as you want right off the bat. You're probably going to get low scores. Just lean into it, suck it up. It's part of the process. So calm right down. Okay. People get A's in this class. It's just the truth, but they don't start with A's. But what's important to know is that in a lot of classes here at Viewmont, if you just submit all your work, you have an A, right? Like even if you didn't put effort into the work, if you just submit it, you have an A. It's a very like just turn it in and get the score. This is not that class. You have to turn in the assignment and show the skills on the assignment. So you might get some low scores for the first few. Just calm down. You're going to be fine. Just know that the way that the grading is calibrated is that you can get a few low scores and still get an A. Remember that an A in this class is a 93%. That's low, right? So you can make a few mistakes. You can have a few bad days and still get an A. Okay. Just focus on 90% of the time padding your grade. So when you do turn in something crappy or just don't have anything left to give for this assignment and you turn in a crappy assignment, it's okay. You can live with that because it's not going to tank your grade too much because you've padded it with a lot of other good work. And then remember, we have a grade replacement policy in this class. If you have a lower grade first term, I replace that first term grade with your higher second term grade. And that's not unethical. It's because this class is meant to be a semester class. You weren't meant to get a grade in the middle, just at the end. Okay, so keep in mind, again, your grade might be a little lower than you're used to, especially if you're one of those people like me in school who I literally never had anything other than an A. And if it even dipped down to a B, it was a pearl clutch. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh no, if that's you, calm right down. Okay, you're going to get some scores that make you have this face and you're going to be okay. Okay, you're going to move past it. You're going to get skills. You're going to be okay. All right. So again, remember, 93% is an A. We can work with that, but you need to get at least a 73% in order to get college credit for this class. If you get a C minus, it's an F, right? You don't get college credit. You don't get any credit for this class. So it's a C or above on your college transcript, and anything below a C is an F, no college credit, right? So just keep that in mind too. Again, we talked about the grade swap. If you do crappy in term one, don't panic. Just I'll replace it with your better term two grade. The only downside to that is sometimes colleges, you're applying so early that they're looking at just your term one grades. And if that's the case, I have a redo policy so you can make sure your term one grade is super high. Okay. There are 5 what I call big fat mamas in this class. 5 big giant assignments, massive, right? And they make up 70% of your grade. They are kind of spaced out throughout the semester pretty evenly. Okay. 5 big assignments, but these assignments are all so massive, right? That there is no way to just sit down in one night and complete it. There's no way. There's a 6 to 8 page paper. Don't panic. I'll help you through it. There's a 6-page paper. There's a movie that you're going to make. It's like a whole thing. Okay. None of these assignments can be done in one day. None of them can be done in one sitting. So my job is to take each of these assignments and break it down into smaller parts that are more manageable for you. Okay. So the way that that happens is that we have the big summative assignment, which is a fancy way of saying one of these 5 big fat mamas is a summative assignment. You have 5 of those throughout the semester. One of those 5 big fat mamas is a summative. But in order to get to that summative, we need to have smaller assignments that build toward that final product because they're so big. They're not possible to just do all at once, right? So we'll do little small assignments that lead you to a really great final product, right? So the summative assignment is the same thing as a BFM. I call it a big fat mama, one of the big 5, right? That's a summative assignment, but we need formative assignments to work to that. The summative assignments are 70% of your grade. So we can't be messing around with these. We cannot suffer low scores on summatives. So I use these formative assignments to ensure that your summative is awesome. Even if your formative assignments aren't great, at least they still prepared you for a high scoring final product that's 70% of your grade. So this is where you got to learn to trust the process. I understand what needs to happen in order to build a great summative. Okay. So these are all the puzzle pieces that put together make this beautiful picture. Okay. So that's why you got to trust the process. The summatives are major, but keep in mind that these summatives, because they're special types of assignment, there's only 5 of them, right? They have a different late penalty. So these summative assignments, there's only 5, right? The first late summative, you get 1 late one, right? The second late summative is a 10% score reduction automatically, even if it's a minute late. The third late summative is a 20% score reduction automatically, even if it's a minute late. and then no other late summative assessments will be accepted. So if you have turned in 3 late summatives and you've left the last 2, if you turn those in late, you don't pass the class. Okay, so they're really serious about these summative assignments. They love them. Weber State is so proud of these Big 5 assignments, and you have to turn them in on time. So the formatives are how I get you there. You see what I'm saying? So all these big summative assignments, there are 5 of them, they all build on one another. So the formatives build to the summatives, right? Each of these smaller assignments, those are like the little daily assignments, build to the summative assignment. But each of those summative assignments build to the next summative assignment as well. So everything is stacked. That's why you can't get behind. All the assignments are stacked one on top of another, and it's a whole big domino process, right? So from day one, we flip over that first domino, and the rest of the class is just knocking down the rest of them periodically, right? So each summative leads in. You need the first summative in order to do well on the next one and the next one and the next one. All of the information builds over time, right? So everything that we're working toward, we have 5 big graded summatives, 4 that are kind of like preparing you for this final big one. And that's the film that you're going to make. Don't panic. I'll help you calm down, right? So all of these assignments give you information in order to complete this big final film that incorporates everything you learned from all of the previous assignments, formative and summative, okay? So 5 big summative assignments, all building to the final product that you're turning in right before Christmas, okay? So now what do we do with these formatives? So these formatives are the way that I ensure that you get an A, right? So even if you don't do so great on these, I've structured these to the point where even if you only give 80% effort on these, you're still going to score pretty well on the summative, okay? So the summatives are how I get 75% with A's, right? It's not an easy class, but it's easy to get an A. Does that make sense? Okay, so these formative assignments, they are going to feel like busy work to you. They are going to feel unpleasant, and they are going to feel repetitive and boring, right? But just know they are very carefully structured to help you get maybe this formative assignment helps you with this, but really also it's preparing you for this summative assignment. So there's a whole big plan in place, and just trust the process because I can see the whole puzzle picture, and you're just putting together the puzzle piece by piece without seeing the whole picture, right? So these formative assignments are how I ensure high grades, even if you're not good at English. So what I do is I basically leverage this 30% of your grade. The formative assignments are 30% of your grade. I leverage those smaller assignments in order to ensure that the 70% of your grade, the summatives, are high quality, right? So leveraging the smaller portion to increase the chances of you scoring well on the bigger portion. Does that make sense? So this class is all about the formatives, okay? So what are formative assignments? Well, it's just that. They form your learning so you can then give a sum of all your learning in a summative, right? You see what I did there? No? So formative assignments are really small assignments that lead to the bigger things. So they're assignments like outlines. There's an outline for everything, okay? For assignments like outlines, assignments like chapter readings from the course textbook, those are assigned throughout the semester. There are assignments like little graphic organizers that I'll have you fill in that are a lot like outlines as well. There are assignments like quizzes, and there's no final test for this, but there are a few smaller quizzes that are required, like you'll see. And formative assignments like peer reviews. And remember, if you remember from the last Syllabus Dive, peer reviews are the pillar and the foundation of this class. They are the cornerstone of the class. We peer review everything, okay? So formative assignments are all of these like smaller puzzle pieces that then come together to make the bigger summative assignments, okay? So again, formative assignments are the most common assignments, and those are the ones that follow that late policy that we talked about in the previous video, right? Those are the most common assignments. Weber State wanted me to have a late policy that you can only turn 3 assignments in, period. And I was like, no. We need to give a little more leeway than that. So this is how we get around that. So remember that formative assignments, all those smaller assignments, is a 5% score deduction automatically per day, up to 50% deduction, right? So still turn it in. You can still get 50%. even if it's very late. Remember, late assignments are going to cause a domino effect. They're going to be graded last. You're not going to receive a lot of feedback on it. But remember that you can't turn in late assignments on the formative assignment. So if we go back and look at the structure here, these formative assignments, like if you're turning in a formative assignment that was meant to prepare you for a summative assignment, right? Let me get there. I made some terrible choices here with how I proceeded through this PowerPoint. So if you're turning in a formative assignment that was meant to prepare you for a summative assignment, it does no good for you to turn in that formative assignment after the summative assignment has been submitted, you silly Billy. So I won't accept them that late, like after the actual assignment that it was meant to prepare you for has been turned in. And then keep in mind that you'll lose the ability to redo and revise assignments. So we'll talk about redos in a second, but if it's turned in late, you can't redo it. Your grade is just your grade and it's final. So I do allow redos in this class. Weber State doesn't love that I allow redos. They want it to be a one and done, and I think it needs to be more of a process. So I allow redos, which really does make more work for me, but it's worth it to me because it helps your learning, right? But the one thing we do with redos is we don't talk about redos with Weber State. Okay, they allow me to do it because I'm one of their favorites, because I'm great. But we just don't talk about it, right? Okay, just like, okay. So basically you can redo almost every assignment in this class. There are caveats, but you can redo almost every assignment. You can get the grade you want in this class. If you take full advantage of my redo policy, you can get an A even if you've never done well in an English class to save your life, right? So here are the caveats to redos. You can only redo it if you submitted the first version on time. You can only redo it if the first version you submitted was complete and in good faith. So you can't do a obviously crappy version on the first version just to turn it in on time and then plan to go back and redo it. You can't do that. It has to be your best work and submit it on time, and then you can redo it. You have to have participated in the full peer review process. So if you were absent for one of the peer reviews or you missed part of the peer review, you can't redo it. The peer review is meant to help your process. If you didn't engage in my process, why would I allow you to extend the process after it was due? You silly Billy, right? If the redo has to be still submitted before the midterm or the term deadline when the assignment occurred. The redo has to be done before the big fat assignment that it was meant to prepare you for. If it's a formative assignment, it has to be done before the summative assignment is due because it was meant to prepare you for the summative assignment. And you can redo those big 5 assignments. You can redo those big 5 assignments, those 70% of your grade assignments, as long as you've completed all the formative assignments leading up to that summative. So if you did all the peer reviews and you did everything you're supposed to, and then on your literature review, you just didn't do as well as you planned, you can redo it. Just redo it. All right. So I'll help you with all of that. Just keep in mind, you can get the grade you want in this class. Just keep in mind that the policies of this class can't change just because you didn't plan ahead. It's silly Billy, right? Just because you procrastinated, it doesn't create an emergency on my part. Just know, though, that if something happens that you couldn't control, talk to me about it. We'll try to figure out how to fix that, right? Again, sometimes I'll grant an extension, but it's very rare. It has to be clear that it wasn't a result of your bad time management, right? So keep in mind, we're on the same team. So I know that those policies can seem a little scary, a little frightening, but that's nothing compared to the cheating rules. So we're going to go into this a lot more in class because Weber State requires me to. And because no matter how hard I go into this discussion, someone still messes around and finds out. I don't understand it, but keep in mind that what I'm about to tell you is the honest truth. I am not exaggerating, okay? I've had students kicked out of the class, kicked out of Weber State University. I've had students do fine until the end of the semester, and then they cheated and they lost all of that work, and they're kicked out of Weber State and out of the class, and they lose all of it, all just to cheat. Okay, so we're going to talk about cheating. It's a big deal, right? So keep in mind, we are going to go into this in more detail later, but just know that cheating in college, cheating is bad. We know that. Cheating in high school is bad. It's always unethical. But if you cheat in college, it could ruin your life. I'm so sorry to say that, but it could ruin all of your future plans. That's a typo, right? Please don't cheat in college. You could get kicked out of the university, definitely get kicked out of the class, get a bad grade. It'll follow you forever. Okay. And the thing is, cheating is anything that you do to circumvent actually doing the work, anything that you do to take a dishonorable shortcut. Okay. Vikings row when the wind doesn't blow. When things get tough, they row through it. They don't just sit there and hope that things turn out well. They row, right? So do Wildcats. Wildcats are Weber State Wildcat. You get it. Roar. Okay. We don't take dishonorable shortcuts. Okay. Here's the thing. We're going to talk more about this in more of an academic way, but let's talk about it in an ethical way. Basically, cheating is if you submit anything that didn't come from just your own brain. Cheating is, did it come from your own brain? Or if you used information from literally anywhere else, the internet, an article, you have to cite it correctly. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. But if it's not cited, or if it's not cited correctly, it's considered plagiarism. It is cheating. It has serious consequences at a college level. Please don't mess around and find out. Someone always does, but please don't. Oh my gosh. Things that are considered cheating in college. If you let others copy your work, that is cheating. If you copy others' work, that is cheating. It's also called plagiarism. It's also called academic dishonesty. All the same thing, right? I have stories. I will tell you stories about this, but it's terrible. Don't do it. If you copy information from anywhere on the internet or anywhere from a printed book or article without citing it, it's cheating. It's stealing somebody else's intellectual property. It's cheating. If you're using any outside information that didn't come from your own brain without my permission, so if I tell you to do an assignment that's just from your own brain, you can't use outside information even if you cited it. And if I tell you to use outside information, you have to cite it when you do use it, and I'll teach you how to do that. But you also have to cite it properly. Even if you cite it, but you don't cite it correctly, still cheating. I know, right? Anything AI generated. I have had people try to turn in AI generated papers in part or in full. It always gets flagged. And oh my gosh, please don't make my life harder by cheating. It really hurts my feelings when I have to kick you out of the university. It's not great. Okay. So please don't just your own brain. Do the work, man. Okay. Consequences for cheating at a university level are similar to the consequences in college, just on steroids, right? So the first one is that anything that you turn in is subject to a verbal or digital originality review, meaning that everything you submit to Weber State goes through originality software to see if you've used AI or you've cheated. It's pretty sophisticated. They pay a lot of money for it. It doesn't catch everything, but it catches most. And then if I suspect that it's not your work, you're subject to a verbal originality review, meaning you have to talk me through your work. Like it has to stand up to my questioning. What? Right. You will get a 0 on the plagiarized assignment. Even if you redo it, it's still a 0. I will immediately notify your parents, and we have to have a meeting because it's at a university level. We can't mess around with that. You'll get a U in citizenship for the term at Viewmont. And it's a disciplinary referral to Weber State. So the second something flags as plagiarized on Weber State Canvas, it's flagged. I can't cover it up. I can't hide it. It's flagged, right? So Weber State knows about it. I have to address it. It's literally my job is at stake when you cheat and I don't address it, right? And then just know that depending on how bad your cheating is, on top of the 0 and the U and the parent call and the review and the referral, you could be removed from the class. It's happened several times before. Why do you know how to mess around and find out, you guys? You could be removed from the class and possibly removed from the university, which could affect your standing in terms of applying to other universities as well. We'll get more into that. But the moral of this story is don't cheat. Why? Why mess around and find out? Okay. With all of that in mind, I will teach you how not to cheat. I will teach you how to be incredibly and impeccably honest with all of the way that you use your information. I will teach you how to not have to be scared about being flagged for plagiarism because you're so confident that you've been so honest, okay? I care about you. I have to tell you about those scary things, but it's because I care about you and I want you to avoid those consequences. It doesn't mean that some students didn't still mess around and find out, but I will help you be successful honestly. I will help you do the work honestly. If you just come along, don't put yourself in a desperate situation where cheating seems like it's a good option. No, no. Anywho, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I really appreciate it. With all of that being said, you're going to like this class. Okay. You're going to learn a lot. It's going to be beautiful. Just okay. Okay. Bye.